Hello my viewers and welcome back to my channel. I welcome you to today's powerful conversation. Now, in a remarkable display of self-awareness and courage, palm color individuals in this video share their experiences about the harmful effects of palm color privilege. Now, we often hear discussions about systemic racism and privilege, but it's rare to witness those benefiting from it acknowledge its existence. But today we will witness profound moments of introspection. Now, a brave palm color woman recounts a striking encounter with police where she was spared the humiliating treatment bestowed upon her non-palm color neighbor. She realized that her palm-coloredness granted her a free pass, shielding her from the fears and injustices faced by others. Now, another remarkable testimony comes from a former palm color supremacist who shared his harmful ideologies to recognize the destructive nature of palm color privilege. With that said, let's take a look at their videos. I will be right back.
Oh, but I do know your benefits, sweetheart. I'm white too. Let me give you an example of white privilege in my lifetime. I lived in Philly, Germantown, Queen Lane, anyone who knows. Sitting out front of my building, everybody outside, it's summertime. Cops stop and frisk. Tell everybody to get up against the wall, except me. They told me to go inside, that I don't want to be outside right now. I'm the only white person that was there, and I'm the only one that the cops literally told to go away. White privilege. Also, whenever I am stopped by the cops, I don't fear for my life. Whenever I go for a job interview, I'm not racially profiled because my name is too ethnic. And for you to say that race doesn't count, especially after what just happened in Jacksonville at that dollar store, when that white man went in there purposely to black people, specifically black people, when he had tried previously to get into a HBCU, to people couldn't do it, so he went to the damn dollar store in a black neighborhood. But race doesn't count. And then the coward turned himself and took his own life because he could not stand being held accountable for his own actions. Again, a white people trait. That's why white people are fighting so hard right now to suppress black history, because it's not our younger generation that feels bad. When they learn about what's going on, I just saw a video of a lady saying her daughter learned about, not Rosa Parks, Ruby Bridges. And she asked her daughter, did she feel bad? And the only reason her daughter felt bad is because she wanted to know why the white people at that point in time didn't do something. So that's why they're trying to suppress this black history. They don't want us asking our elders, our grandparents, our parents, why didn't you do something? Why did you participate in that? Why didn't you try to do something different? Why didn't you try to fix it? Why so much hate? Why? They don't want us questioning them, knowing how barbaric, how animalistic, how vile they were and still are. So now there's this bullshit argument. Race doesn't count. Oh, I didn't do anything. But the problem is, when you don't do anything, you're just as guilty as the rest. If you're out in public and you see somebody being racist, bullying somebody or whatever, you don't do something to stop it, you're just as guilty as they are. You're just as racist as they are. You're just as bad as they are. So to say you don't have any type of privilege, that's bullshit. And to say that race doesn't count in a nation that was built on slavery, built on racism, built by genocide, brutality, enslavement, white supremacy that is still going on to this day. The only reason white people like you don't want to admit it is because you don't want to give up your privilege. You don't want to give up your status. You don't care about the people who are marginalized, who are suffering. You don't care because it doesn't affect you, and it doesn't affect you because you're white.
I get this question all the time. Why didn't it feel wrong inside of you when you believed him? Referencing Trump here. And the truth is, even the most radicalized minds never believe that they are operating from a position of hate or of being wrong. As crazy as this may sound, even when I went to the extremes of joining a white supremacist organization, I never once in my mind thought that I was operating from a position of hate. I thought my very existence on this planet was being threatened. And that's the danger of terrorist organizations and cults. Many times those members believe that they are fighting the good fight, that they are doing the Lord's work. It's all under the guise of moral superiority, that we are doing what is right. And I thought, as a white, straight Christian male, I was under attack in the United States of America. And there are many more just like me, who still believe the same thing today. You see, to us, inclusivity felt like oppression. And this is why education is so important. This is why having conversations with people of different beliefs and backgrounds, demographics, socioeconomic status is so important. Because if we're truly going to change the narrative, we must first change our approach to the conversation. No matter what belief system you come from, no matter what side of the aisle you are on, choose to see the good in everyone. Always operate from a position of love. You never know when the lights will come on. You could be the person that plants the seed that ultimately changes someone's life, and you never know what kind of impact that person may have on the rest of the world. For instance, when I met Rashawn, I was a die-hard Trump fan, and I said that Trump would be the best thing that would ever happen to this country and the black community. I had book after book sent into prison. Look, here, it's got my DC number, everything. All supporting Trump. His Mike Lindell buddy. Candace Owens, Blackout. Resistance at all costs. Kimberly Strausel, who writes for the Wall Street Journal. I had the real white savior complex that many people on the right have, that they think that they know what's best for every other group of people, whether it's women, whether it's marginalized communities, minorities, it doesn't matter. That's the white savior complex. We know what's best for you. The irony of it all from my story and my journey is that I had a black Muslim with not even a high school education, had been in prison since he was 16 years old. Plant that seed in my life and begin the education process and the deconstruction process for me. But that would have never been possible had he not chosen to be my friend first, regardless of what my belief system was. That friendship's what led me to read The New Jim Crow, The Color of Law, How to Be Anti-Racist, Black Reconstruction, The Quaking of America, My Grandmother's Hands. I would have never been exposed to a different worldview, a different perspective, had it not been for that friendship with Rashawn Clark. I believe in the goodness of humanity. I believe there are a bunch of well-intentioned people on both sides that are upholding a corrupt system and corrupt politicians on both sides. And if we, the people, truly take the time to develop friendships and meaningful relationships with each other, we can genuinely unite and change the world. Unconditional love is the only power truly strong enough to genuinely transform lives.
First of all, yes, other races do discriminate. Other races are shitty towards other races. But the thing that is unique about white Americans is that we hold all the institutional power in the United States. And I am talking about racism in the United States. People love to derail the conversations about race by looking at other countries and pointing to other, that shit doesn't matter. All you're really doing is just derailing and trying not to talk about the topic at hand. The topic at hand is racism in America, the United States. I can't really do anything about racism in other countries, but I'm trying to figure it out, Second of all, the white guilt thing. I find it interesting that anytime a white person boldly comes on social media and is yeah, white people suck. We've been so historically terrible to other races in this country. It's you guys accuse me of hating myself when I feel I'm just being neutral and factual. That's just a reality. And acknowledging reality is not hateful, which I know that's really hard for a lot of white people to wrap their minds around, but it's the truth. You see, I don't want to say that I'm not like other white people because that's not true. I definitely benefit from the privilege of being white, but I was not born into whiteness in this country the same way that most white Americans were because I'm a first-generation American and I come from an immigrant family. So I was born into the right body in this country to take advantage of the privileges that come with it, but I was not properly socialized to perform in this body in such a way that allows me access to those privileges, if that makes sense. I had to be real scrappy as a teenager and a young adult to figure out how to work with white people and around white people. And my subjective experience has been that American white people are incredibly thin-skinned and fragile about just about anything you can think about, compared to other groups of people, especially. There is so much labor that has to go into avoiding the expression of unpleasant truths to American white people. American white people are inherently systemically socialized to not be able to handle the truth. Our American education system paints this happy little picture about us getting along with the Native Americans, and we conveniently are the good guy in every story that we're told about ourselves. We're like the golden children in a dysfunctional family dynamic who's looking at our siblings who are being treated worse than us and being like, I don't understand why you're complaining. Like, everything's fine. I actually remember my parents, when I was growing up, they would say things to me like, Christine, these American whites, they're kind of weak. They're very sensitive. Like, there's certain questions you can't really ask them directly. You can't say anything too directly to them. Otherwise, they just crumble right in front of you, And they were right. They're so right. Like, white Americans are so thin-skinned and fragile in so many ways. Our egos, especially, are so fragile. And most white people are socialized with an inability to look at the truth. And frankly, my position on this subject doesn't really come from the fact that I feel guilt. It comes from the fact that I feel a lot of discomfort around the fact that I am simply treated better and afforded more opportunities because I learned how to
Now, privilege, particularly palm color or male privilege, is hard to see for those who were born with access to power and resources. It is very visible for those to whom privilege was not granted. Furthermore, the subject is extremely difficult to talk about because many palm color people don't feel powerful or as if they have privileges others do not. Now, it is sort of like asking fish to notice water or birds to discuss air. For those who have privileges based on race or gender or class or physical ability or S orientation or age, it just is. It's normal. Now, the Random House Dictionary 1993 defines privilege as a right, immunity, or benefit enjoyed only by a person beyond the advantages of most. Now, in her article with Privilege and Male Privilege, Peggy McIntosh, 1995, reminds us that those who are palm color usually believe that privileges are conditions of daily experience that are universally available to everybody. Now, further, she says that what we're really talking about is unearned power conferred systematically. Now, for those who are palm color, one of the privileges is that they see themselves as individuals, just people, part of the human race. Most of them are clear, however, that people whose skin is not palm color are members of a race. Now, the surprising thing for them is that even though they don't see themselves as part of a radical group, people of color generally do see them that way. Now, when we talk about palm color privilege, we're talking about a concept that highlights the unfair societal advantages that palm color people have over non-palm color people. It is something that is pervasive throughout society and exists in all of the major systems and institutions that operate in society, as well as on an interpersonal level. Now, the term has a long history, but it has come into sharper focus due to events such as the unaliving of George Floyd and the resulting Black Lives Matter protests. Now, the phrase palm color privilege was first coined by activist and scholar Peggy McIntosh in 1988 in her paper, Palm Color Privilege, Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack. She described palm color privilege in terms of the unspoken advantage that the dominant culture has over Black and people of color. For people who have never heard the term before, palm color privilege can evoke reactions of defensiveness and even outrage. Now, this concept has been termed as palm color fragility, coined by Robin DiAngelo, and the reactions range from shame, guilt, fear, avoidance, defensiveness, and discomfort to extreme reactions such as shaming, covert aggression, intolerability, invalidation, and weaponizing privilege. On the other hand, for some, the idea that a person could have special privileges just because of the color of their skin is an unsettling realization and can elicit feelings of shame, guilt, and confusion. If you're a palm color person and feel like the concept of palm color privilege doesn't pertain to you, you're likely mistaken. If you're palm color and have grown up feeling as though others have advantages over you, perhaps regarding your wealth, you might bristle at the notion that you're in some way privileged because of your race. Palm color privilege is an advantage that protects palm color people against any form of discrimination related to their ethnicity and race. Palm color privilege, however, does not imply that palm color people have not or cannot experience challenges in life. It means that any challenges that a palm color person has faced or may face is not related to the color of their skin. Now, as a society, we must acknowledge the harsh realities of palm color privilege. As the palm color woman so eloquently stated, being palm color shields you from countless fears and injustices. You don't have to fear for your life when encountering police. You don't worry about being racially profiled or stereotyped. You don't think twice about your name being too ethnic or your skin color affecting job prospects. Palm color privilege doesn't mean your life is easy or trouble-free, but it does mean you navigate the world with a fundamental level of safety and assumption of innocence. Now, this is not the same for Black and people of color. I feel it's time for an honest reckoning. Palm color individuals must confront the unspoken benefits they receive from palm color privilege and how it harms Black and people of color. Recognizing privilege is the first step toward dismantling systemic racism. Palm color privilege doesn't mean your life is easy, but it does mean you navigate the world with advantages, unconscious assumptions of innocence and competence, access to quality education, healthcare, and job opportunities, freedom from racial profiling and police brutality fears, political representation, and policy-making power. Now, these benefits come at the expense of marginalized communities who face systemic oppression and institutional racism, limited access to resources and opportunities, erasure and marginalization in media and history, disproportionate rates of incarceration, and police violence. We have finally come to the end of the video, but what do my viewers have to say? Share your thoughts, your contributions as well in the comment section. Thank you for always watching, and see you in my next video as I bring you another interesting video.